My name is Andrew Jackson. I was born on March 15th, 1767 near the Wacapaws region of South Carolina. My mother, Elizabeth Hutchinson, helped nurse Continental soldiers and raised me by herself, but then died of cholera when I was 14. My father, Andrew Jackson, died the year I was born. I grew up against the background of the American Revolution and lost my brothers, Hugh and Robert, in the war, and was raised by my two uncles. I received a fairly good education in my early years by private tutors, and at age 15, I chose to go back to school to read law for about 2 years before becoming a lawyer in 1787. I would say that I engaged in a number of brawls, one in which I dueled and killed a man who cast an unjustified slur on my precious Rachel. I married Rachel Donaldson Robards before her divorce came final, and this haunted me while I was campaigning. Because of this, I blame my opponents for her death in 1828. Well, on to my military service. I joined the Continental Army at 13, and as Major General of the Tennessee Volunteers, I led my troops to victory in March of 1814 against the Creek Indians at Horseshoe Bend. I then became the Major General of the Army by fighting the War of 1812, and on January 8, 1815, I defeated the British in New Orleans. I also served in the First Seminole War from 1817 to 1819 and overthrew the Spanish governor in Florida. You could say that I had a fierce will and sometimes savage temper. In 1805, a friend of mine deprecated the manner in which Captain Joseph Irvin had handled a bet with me over a horse race. Irvin's son-in-law, Charles Dickinson, became enraged and started quarreling with my friend, which led to my involvement. Dickinson called me a coward and an inquisitor. I challenged him to a duel. Dickinson fired the first shot and broke two of my ribs that lodged 2 inches from my heart. The wound never healed properly, causing pain throughout my years of existence. Before my presidential election, I was a lawyer in North Carolina and then Tennessee. In 1796, I served at the convention that created the Tennessee Constitution. I was elected in 1796 as Tennessee's first U.S. representative and then as U.S. Senator in 1797, but I resigned after 8 months. From 1798 to 1804, I was a justice on the Tennessee Supreme Court, and after serving in the military and becoming the military governor of Florida, I became a U.S. Senator. So I decided to run for president against John Quincy Adams in 1824. I won the popular vote, but something about the lack of electoral majority caused the election to be decided in the House. I then became the 7th President of the United States in 1828. In my first annual message to Congress, I recommended eliminating the Electoral College. I tried to democratize federal office holding because machines were being built on patronage, and a New York senator openly proclaimed that to the victors belonged the spoils. I took a milder view and believed government duties could be so plain and simple that offices should rotate among deserving applicants. Unlike previous presidents, I did not defer to Congress in policymaking, but used my power of veto and my party leadership to assume command. In 1825, I was nominated for president again, and John C. Callan became my vice president. I became the president with 54% of the popular vote and 178 out of 261 electoral votes. In the election of 1832, I ran against Henry Clay with Martin Van Buren as my running mate. The main issue was the Bank of the United States, in which I used the spoils system and the system of veto. I was called King Andrew by my opposition. I won 55% of the popular vote and 219 out of 286 electoral votes. The greatest party battle I experienced was the Second Bank of the United States. I was hostile towards it, and the bank threw its power at me. I told Martin Van Buren, "The bank is trying to kill me, so I will kill it." I vetoed the recharter bill and recharged the bank with undue economic privilege. When South Carolina undertook to nullify the high protective tariff, I ordered armed forces to Charleston and privately threatened to hang Callan. In January of 1832, I was dining with my friends at the White House when someone whispered to me that the Senate had rejected the nomination of Martin Van Buren as minister to England. I jumped to my feet and exclaimed, "By the Eternal, I'll smash them." And so I did. I am the citizen president by representing the common man. I believe strongly in preserving the Union and in keeping too much power out of the hands of the wealthy. I truly embrace the powers of the presidency. After my tiring presidential period, I returned to my home near Nashville, Tennessee. I stayed active politically until my death on June 8, 1845. As long as our government is administered for the good of the people and is regulated by their will, as long as it secures to us the rights of the person and of property,